Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's class, which is the Winsor, Newton Garden Herbs Part 2. My name is Tim DePack, and I'm from Winsor & Newton, and I'll be your moderator today. I'm being joined by Shealeen and Louise, who will be your artist instructor for today's class, and Shealeen will be taking you through today's class by providing some information about the products being used and showing you how to perform some of her favorite watercolor painting techniques, all while creating these herbs using the Winsor & Newton Cotman Watercolor paints. She'll also give you a sneak peek of her next upcoming class, which is going to be on March 15th, which is titled Moonflower. There is a sketch outline available for this class. We will drop that in the chat for you for those of you who need the sketch. And also, upon completion of the class, you will get a survey in your email. Please let us know what you thought about the class, how we did, and if there's any particular topics you'd like to see Shealeen perform in the future. This class will be recorded in 24 hours, and it will be available on michaels.com and Michaels' YouTube channel. Please feel free to follow along with Shealeen or sit back and relax and enjoy the class. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Shealeen.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I have a little bit of a different tech setup today, so hopefully it's good. So today we're going to be doing our Herbs Part 2 watercolor class. And so here is going to be our finished product for today. So we're going to be painting parsley, oregano, and thyme. So it's going to be a great class, I think, for anyone who's kind of a beginner or intermediate. Hopefully there's going to be something for everybody to learn from, and I think it's going to be a good one. So if we want to switch to overhead view, I'm going to walk you through some supplies, then we'll get started. So I'm going to use two different size brushes today. I'm going to use a size 5 and a size 3 round brush. These are both Winsor & Newton Cotman brushes. I'm going to use just a pencil and eraser. I'm going to use a micron pen from Winsor & Newton. Whatever size you have is totally fine. I think I have a size 1. For colors, I'm using some tube paint today. I'm using Viridian green, lemon yellow, which I got all over my hand and all over everything already. I'm using sap green and burnt sienna. I'm using 3 sheets of 5x7 cold press watercolor paper. Whatever size paper you want to use is fine. If you want to do something a little bit larger, I think that would look really nice as well. And so off to the side here, I have my sketches printed out just so I can use them as a reference. So I think I'm going to start with, I think we're going to do the order of these: parsley, thyme, oregano. And we're going to kind of work in succession. So we'll work on one, set it aside to let it dry, work on another, let that dry, work on the third, so on, and kind of come back. And it's a really great way to make sure that we're letting our paint dry in layers, so that we don't, make anything bleed together we don't want. So let me go ahead and let's pull up parsley. So getting started here, let me get my paint stuff out of the way. So if you've sketched ahead of time, you'll notice that my parsley sketch has quite a bit of detail. Like I kind of have all of these little jagged, toothy feather, little leaf edges. But I think what I'm going to do for my own sketch is I'm going to actually just kind of start at the tip of the leaf and then just kind of create this soft kind of S bend. And then I'm going to place my leaves here to the right and to the left. So I got one going off this way to the right. I got one going over here to the left, another one just underneath it. Another one underneath that one. And then over here, I have one reaching up to the right and then another one reaching down, okay? So if you've already sketched yours out to this level, that is totally great. But I'm actually only going to sketch it this far because I'm going to show you a technique that will help to kind of create these forms without having to, maybe play a game of staying inside the lines. I want to show you guys a technique for painting parsley. So go ahead and sketch it just to this point if you're sketching along with me in real time. And then let's go ahead and write parsley underneath it. Just use your own handwriting. It doesn't have to be amazing. You don't have to, try and make it look all fancy. Just try and make sure it looks, I would say as long as it feels balanced underneath there, balanced, between the right and the left, I think it's going to look great. All right. So this is my sketch for parsley. I'm sorry, it's not as detailed as that sketch, but it's going to look amazing. So now we're going to move over to thyme. And thyme, I actually had a pretty similar simplicity in this sketch here. So we kind of have one over here to the left, leaning over. And then we have these two forms that are crisscrossing. So this one's kind of leaning to the right. And then this one is reaching way up tall. And then go ahead and just draw these little branches that are reaching over to the left side. And I'm gonna just tweak mine while I'm here because it doesn't feel quite balanced. So let me redraw that line real quick. This is the time to get all these little things right. Okay. And then go ahead and using your pencil, go ahead and write thyme underneath. Whenever I do any kind of cursive or lettering, I always start with pencil. It's very, very important. I'm not confident enough to just go for it and pen. All right. So that feels pretty good to me. Just make sure it feels balanced, kind of look at the right and the left, top and bottom. Just make sure it feels like kind of a balanced composition. But it's a very easy sketch, isn't it? Okay. And our last one is oregano. So this one here, go ahead and start by just getting the shape of this stem. So notice it's not straight up and down. It's got a slight curve to it, okay? So just go ahead and get that curve placed. And then let's start up here at the top. And I have just these two little tiny leaves up top. And then I have a larger leaf underneath it. A larger leaf facing away from that one. So that's kind of how oregano leaves look. They kind of like grow opposite of one another. And then we have these little tiny leaves just behind those ones. And then let's move down about an inch. We have one leaf reaching over here to the left, another one reaching over to the right. This leaf here, just notice how I kind of have this sketched so that it's facing downwards. It's curling back. And then go ahead and draw these little veins in the leaves. I forgot to do that up there. And just like up here, I have these small little leaves that are growing kind of just next to these ones here, just right here along the stem. Okay, and then as we're moving down, these leaves are getting a little bit bigger each time, okay? So we have this large leaf here. Draw the stem or the veins. We have a leaf, little tiny leaf right there. Actually, I'm going to make that leaf even a little bit bigger. I have a memory of my younger brother, my youngest brother, when he was probably like 12 or 13. He thought it'd be funny to use, I don't know why, we had oregano essential oil nearby and he put it on his hand and then he like put it on my forehead. I don't know if he heard about that as like a prank. Actually, he probably did. But he put oregano oil on my forehead and I remember it burned so bad. So that's kind of what I think about when I think about oregano, is don't put oregano oil on your forehead. It's good. It's good in pasta though, huh? All right, so get these stems drawn. Here's where we're at so far. So notice they're always kind of growing away from one another. We've got the little leaves behind them. And then last set of leaves here at the bottom. I'm going to draw one leaf that's reaching slightly behind this leaf, this large leaf we drew here. So just kind of make them overlap. I've got a little leaf coming out behind there. I have a small leaf drawn right here. And then last one. One more leaf coming off to the right side. All right. And then go ahead and write oregano at the bottom. Okay. So there you have it. Now I'm going to pull this sketch out of frame and I'm going to pull parsley in here. And let's see here. So for parsley, I'm going to grab my size 5 round brush. And so for parsley, the trick really is it's all about just getting the shape of these leaves right. Okay, so parsley is kind of looks like cilantro, but the leaves are a little bit longer, but they kind of have that like scraggly, toothy edge. So we're going to try and get that look here. So let's mix some sap green. Just get a nice little mixture of this green color going. Not too dark, not too light. All right, and then I'm just going to start it at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just pressing down at the very top and then kind of lifting. So press and then lift, press and then lift. And basically you want to just kind of create almost this like, it's almost like the shape of like a little mitten in a way. That's kind of the only way I can really describe how it looks. And then we're going to just draw these little kind of sets, maybe of 3 little fingered mittens and 4 little fingered mittens. Kind of to the right and the left, working downwards. So the leaf is going to be kind of creating this shape like this. So it kind of is like a Y shape in a way. So just use that brush to just push down and then kind of lift. And then I think that feels pretty good. Let's then connect it all. And then I want to make that just a little bit thicker. So where they connect, you can just kind of add a little bit of paint there. So just this center stem here is a little bit thicker. So let me hold that up for you. It's a pretty easy technique, but I do feel like it took me like a second to be like, okay, I got the hang of this. So it took me a minute to kind of get the hang of it. But once you get it, it's like, oh, okay, it's not too hard. All right, and then I'll just keep on painting downward. And I'll go over here to this left side and same thing. So creating these little kind of mitteny shapes, pulling backwards towards the stem, towards the center. You could also kind of, another way to do that is that you can kind of start at this the stem and then pull outward like that. And let me pull that in a little bit closer for you. Does that make sense? Hopefully everybody's tracking there. And then you can just kind of connect them, make the center a little bit thicker. And you know what, I think I actually want to add a little bit more to this one. So as you can see, it's all in the technique here. And you can really make these little leaves your own. Okay, I'm turning up my volume a little bit. Tell me if you can hear me better. Did that just change my audio?
Sounds good here on my end.
Okay, good.
I just asked
can-
everybody else if they're having that problem as well.
Yeah,
So people
I can
respond.
definitely turn up the gain a little bit. One of the problems, literally my entire life, everybody's always told me I talk too quiet, so I try. Okay, I'm going to keep working over here on the left side. So just, I'm going to move a little bit quicker here. Try not to overthink it too much. Just creating these little gloved hands, little mittens. And I think that you'll probably find that the less you overwork it, I bet you you'll find that you're a little more pleased with how it turns out. At least that's how I feel with mine. If I overthink it, I'm like, ooh, it doesn't look great. Okay. I'm running out of paint here, so make sure you got a puddle always going here on your palette that you can quickly reach from and get that same color value. All right, let me pull that up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and finish painting that stem over here. Finish painting the center stem. And then finish these last few leaves. I love sap green for this color. It's just such a perfect classic green shade. Another one that's really nice is, I think it's called hooker green. And that's like a really beautiful emerald colored green. Okay. So press down and then lift, press down and lift.
I think watching your method of doing the parsley actually looks probably easier to do than the actual drawing if you were sketching those out.
Oh,
So
yeah.
more lifelike by that way that you're doing that technique.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like it just kind of, it ends up feeling a little bit more, it is like a little more full of life and has some like a nice energy to it when you are just kind of painting it in real time like this. And if you sketched it, feel free to just, you can still do this technique. You just have a bit more of a guide.
Just as we were talking about that, someone in the chat just mentioned that, well, that looks more lifelike with the, as you're painting it, as opposed to the drawing part of it. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go.
Hopefully everybody else feels the same way as well.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, I actually thought, I thought that painting parsley or oregano was kind of tricky, but after I just started doing this technique, I was like, oh, okay, just think little mittens, it's easy. And then you just got to connect them to each other. Okay. I think that fills like a pretty good place to pause, and then we'll move on to some time. Just gonna change just a couple of things. This is always the moment where it's like, okay, take inventory, see how it all feels together, see if there's anything you want to tweak. Sometimes when I'm working, I'm just kind of in the details, and then I have to like kind of step back and just look at it as a whole. And then I'm able to say like, oh, okay, need to change a couple things here and there. Okay, so I'm going to set aside parsley and bring in thyme. So for all three of these herbs, I gave it some thought as far as colors. I don't want them all to be the exact same shade of green, because that's not how herbs are in life. You know, all plants have just their own specific, unique coloring. So for thyme, I'm going to mix some lemon yellow and sap green. And this is going to just give it a bit more of a cool yellow tone. It's just going to give it a little, you know, a little bit of a unique color to our parsley. So go ahead and start with a really light mixture here. You don't want to go too dark. So this is lemon yellow and sap green. Oops. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I am going to just looking at all my stems here. I'm going to create, and I'm still using the size 5 brush. I'm just going to start creating some little dashes. And I want these dashes to be, some of them can be a little bit smaller than others. Some can be a little thicker. Some can be pointing downward. Some can be just kind of a dot pointing upward. They can be kind of crisscrossing over one another. The trick here is I want you to don't go too slowly, just kind of try to move quickly through it. And we'll hopefully find that that helps to create kind of an organic look. But I don't want this to look too perfect. These don't grow perfectly across from one another. Maybe even more so the way like oregano is going to be a little bit more like symmetrical. So just go along each one of these. You don't need to make it too thick, not too dense, I should say. Don't be afraid to cross over ones you've already painted. And don't be afraid to move quickly. I will say, make sure your mixture is light. You don't want this to be too dark. We're going to add some darker moments in here later. But for now, I want this to be light. So I'm even blotting off some of my paint so that it's not too dark. And then these little branches that are going off to the right over here, go ahead and add some little leaves to those as well. I have all of my, well, not all of them, all of mine, but I have quite a few herb seeds ready to go. And I have some little cell trays ready to start getting sprouts because I'm so eager to start planting some goods, especially herbs. I love, 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 love fresh herbs. I have cilantro, basil, mint, chamomile, and I'm going to get some rosemary. That's my next one. Probably do some parsley as well. All right, this feels really nice. So I'm going to let this one dry, set it off to the side, and let's pull in oregano. So oregano, I also want to give a unique color to. So I'm going to use some lemon yellow. And Viridian green. And so this is going to create kind of its own unique shade. It's kind of like a warmer bluish green. And if you can, obviously there's not a perfect way to do this, but try and make it like a 50-50 ratio of lemon yellow and Viridian. And I think that that's going to give you the most true green color, but it is going to still be a fairly cool shade. And then once it's to a color, to a shade that you're liking, go ahead and using that same size 5 round brush, let's start at the top and let's just cover this entire painting, okay? Everywhere that we have a sketch, go ahead and drop this color here. Shouldn't be too dark. I dropped it in a little bit too dark up at the top, but that's okay. I just pull that color out into the rest of these leaves. Just do a nice even wash. And just for reference, kind of fun to see. Just notice how this, well, I don't know how much you can tell in Zoom, but my goodness, looking at it here, this is such a different shade of green than this one. And it's great because they both just feel like true greens, but they look significantly different to me. So get it all filled in here. So I'd love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments. Out of these 3 herbs, parsley, thyme, and oregano, which would you say, if you have an experience growing them, which of them have you found is the easiest to grow? Like which one grows the most prolifically? And which one do you think is the most difficult to grow? I've never grown any of them, so I'm real curious.
We're going to see how many green thumbs we have out there in the audience today.
I bet there's a few. I feel like people who love botanicals probably like to garden too.
So let's see. Basil, someone said, is easy. Someone said thyme is more like a weed. It takes over everything.
Love it.
Parsley is easy. Oh, someone said parsley comes back year after year.
Okay.
That's great.
I can see that. I love plants that people are like, oh, they're like a weed. I'm like, that's what I need. I need the ones that are like the weeds because I do really well with weeds. So our new yard is like totally full of goat heads. I don't know if you guys call them goat heads where you are, but they're just those little thorns. I think the plant is called, oh my goodness, I can't remember what the plant is called. But they're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. Our dogs go out there and just get their paws pricked with them. And we've been trying to figure out how to get those out so we can start doing some gardening, but no fun, I'll tell you that. Okay, so pull your parsley back in. It should be totally dry. And parsley, speaking of being the easy one to grow, this is going to be one of the easiest ones to finish here. So just grab a little bit more of sap green. And this is going to be just a darker mixture than we did earlier. Just really rub your bristles in that color. And just to add a little bit of depth to this painting, just sparingly, I want you to go along the top here and just add a couple of moments of this darker green shade. So I'm pulling it in here for you. Not overthinking it here, just adding just a little bit there. So maybe, maybe the tips of these leaves are newer, like maybe they're, I don't know, like the newer growth or something like that. Or maybe this center is just a bit more in shadow. The stem, let's make the stem just a little bit darker. And this is just going to make it feel a little less one-dimensional. And you can just use some thought here. You don't want to go too heavy here. Just a few little moments, a little goes a long way. I keep wanting to reach for my other green mixtures. I have so many green, so many little green mixtures on this palette here.
So we had really good responses from everyone in the audience of all the different types of herbs that they're growing, which is great.
Oh, really? Okay. You know what? Before this class is done, I'm going to download the transcript so I can read it because I've never been able to actually really read it. Besides, I can see a couple things pop up. So don't let me forget, Tim. I want to download that transcript. Sure. Okay. So that feels like a good place to stop for the parsley. So go ahead and set that one aside. We'll come back to just write parsley a little bit later. So thyme, let's go back to our lemon yellow and sap green mixture here. And I want to make this just a little bit of a darker mixture. This is very light, right? So let's just mix in just a little bit extra color. So a little bit less water, a little bit more paint. And I'm going to use my same brush. You might want to use a size 3 here. Always just use whatever brush you feel the most comfortable with. It is such a personal preference. And I always encourage, if you feel more comfortable with a different one, you follow your own instincts here. But my size 5 brush is got a nice point, so I'm actually just going to keep using this. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to go over some of the little leaves I already painted, and I'm also going to add a few new ones. But when I say go over them, I'm not going to cover them necessarily. I'm just going to kind of just paint on top of it, but I don't want to fully cover it because I want that color underneath it to still be able to shine through. And so don't cover all of them, just maybe 2/3 of them, and then paint a few new ones. And again, like we did earlier, don't overthink this too much. Just try and move quickly. It helps to not overthink it.
As you're going over that, I'm going to let everybody know Shealeen did do a part 1 of this class, which featured rosemary, sage, and basil. And I'm going to drop the link in the chat for the Zoom class replay for those of you who want to watch that class as well, and just extend out now you'd have 6 herbs to paint.
And also, if you do share this on social media, like please be sure to tag me in it and to use the Make It With Michaels hashtag. If you tag me, try and tag specifically the photo itself, just to make sure that I see it. Sometimes if you tag me in the comments, like in your caption, sometimes I don't see those. But I would love to see what you create from this class. Some of you really take your time after the class and then show me what your painting looks like after like 3 hours of making it look amazing. And there's been a couple times where I'm like, whoa, it's way better than mine. That's amazing.
That's the great thing about having the replay for these classes. Everyone can go back at their own pace and recreate the work with you as well.
All right, so just notice how I didn't cover up all of those light moments. There's still some that are the original light shade, and then now we have some darker ones in there too. So it gives it a lot more, just dimension and interest, I think. So we'll let our thyme dry. We'll give it some time. And then let's pull oregano back in. Oregano is actually going to be the one we probably spend a little more time on. We probably are going to spend the most time on oregano. So here we go. Let's go back to our mixture, which was Viridian green and lemon yellow. So I have this mixture here that's still ready to go. And all right, so let's start up at the top. And let's just drop a darker color on these top couple of little leaves there. And I want you to just trace along those veins in these leaves here. I want you to also just drop some dark color in these 2 leaves that are growing just to the top and bottom there. And then we're going to use our other brush, size 3 round. I'm going to drop it in water, blot it on a paper towel, and then I'm going to use that damp, clean edge to just smooth that color a little bit in the larger leaves. So I don't want it to just feel like these hard paint lines. I want everything to feel kind of soft and natural. This is actually going to be a little bit more of a loose interpretation of oregano. It's not going to be super, super detailed. I mean, it can be if you want it to be, but my version is not going to be super detailed. Go ahead and add that dark color to the stem here, and then let's do the same thing right here. So drop some paint along the veins. We'll make the bottom teeny little leaves here a little darker. Let's make the bottom side of this leaf here. Drop some dark color there. and some paint along these veins right here. And then using your damp, clean brush, just move that color just a little bit so we don't have these hard lines. Keep everything feeling soft. I always think the trick with botanical paintings is you want to have dark values and light values, and that contrast of dark and light is really what helps to bring a lot of life and dimension. And I guess almost realism to a painting. If it was all just one shade of green, it wouldn't look very real because that's not the way it looks in nature. We got shadows and we got the sun shining from behind leaves and flowers and petals. And so you always want that contrast. Contrasting values, even if it's the exact same color, but just using a light amount and then a heavier amount of paint. Okay, so using my damp clean brush, same technique here. Smooth it out. And I'm going to drop just a little bit extra color here. And then I'll smooth that out. And keep on working your way down. So paint the stem. And let's go to this this leaf here. So I think this leaf needs a little bit of extra paint because it is going to be underneath this other leaf here. And so I want there to be kind of like a shadow underneath it. So go ahead and just let's go ahead and drop a bunch of color just underneath that one. And then we'll smooth that color out just a little bit. Drop some of this mixture on this petal here. And then over here, we'll go ahead and just keep doing the same technique of laying this color along the veins. And along the stem. Okay. So I'm going to give everybody a moment to keep working on this. And Tim, I'm actually going to text you or send you a message here. I have the steps for this entire process, and I wanted you to be able to share that with anybody who wants to keep working afterwards. Let's see here.
Sure. If you send it to me, I can have Michael's actually add it to when the YouTube gets posted. We can have it as an attachment.
Okay. And maybe I can add it to the chat at the end, maybe. I don't even know how to, I'll figure it out in a sec. Okay, so I want you to set aside oregano. Pull back time. Okay, so let's use our smaller brush. I'm using my size 3 here. And I'm going to get some burnt sienna. The only non-green or yellow of today's class. So get a strong mixture of burnt sienna going here. And what we're going to do is I want you to look in your painting for anywhere where you can see the stem, where you can see the pencil, okay? If you can see pencil that is still on white paper, I want you to just go over that with burnt sienna. So it's going to be kind of like a lost and found edge. Like it's not going to be just like a solid line. we don't want to paint over the green bits. We don't want to paint over the leaves. Okay. And I don't know why, but this is actually kind of my favorite. And maybe because this is the most different step out of everything we're doing today. But I find this so satisfying. I think it just, I don't know, it just brings it to life. I love it. All right. Last one. Just on the parts where you can see that bit of charcoal or graphite, whatever, lead. Okay. So there you have it. Finished time. Now pull oregano back. All right, so everybody's oregano probably looks a little bit different. Like yours probably looks a little bit different than mine. So just looking at my painting, you know, you kind of have to look at your own and assess what it needs. It doesn't need a whole lot, but I think I want to just add a little bit of, I'm going to add a little bit more green, this dark green to these veins here. I don't want those to be lost. Up here, I'll do the same thing. You know, a nice detail is just underneath the leaves, adding a little bit of dark green, just so there's a little bit of a shadow there. Maybe add a little bit of extra dark green to this leaf where it's turning. Maybe even up here, maybe you want to add just a little moment of extra dark green. Maybe just underneath this leaf where there's some shadow, like we were saying earlier. Okay. So oregano is feeling good. And then I kind of try and step back, so to speak, take a look at what I want to do. I think that this could use just a little bit of smoothing out right here. All right. So oregano is good. I think I'm going to set it aside for now. I'm going to bring back parsley, and then I'm going to grab my micron pen here. And don't psych yourself out here. I don't know why this always feels like the part I could totally get the most paralyzed on. But go ahead and, using your pen, go over what you wrote earlier. Parsley. Okay. And you want to wait till it dries to try and erase any kind of pencil marks you can still see. Time. And oregano. Okay. So I'll pull up our camera a little bit here. Here we go. Hopefully you can see them all okay. So I think these would look adorable if you were to get them all framed and have them in a set in your kitchen, or give them away as a gift. Maybe make some greeting cards for your herbalist friends. So if you want to, I'd actually love to see if anybody is getting close to finished, or even if you have one you're really proud of, I would love to see it in the gallery view. Beautiful. I love these, especially like, it's really cool to see the parsley turning out so amazing. You guys did great with that technique. So nice. I love it. Thank you guys for showing me that.
Great job, everyone.
I'm going to show you also, before we are done here, I'm going to show you a class we're going to do soon. So we're going to be doing next month is, this is going to be actually a Georgia O'Keeffe inspired painting in honor of Women's History Month for March. So she painted a lot of moonflowers, which is great because I actually live in New Mexico just like she did, and we have these growing everywhere. So I knew that that's what I had to paint, because I think these are just such beautiful, gorgeous nighttime flowers. So this will be a really great challenge too, because painting white flowers on watercolor paper is actually super, super tricky. So this is going to be a great challenge, painting white flowers on white paper. And then we have, let's see, we have a tulips class coming up the following month, and then we're going to be doing a strawberry class. So we have so many awesome, fun classes that are in the works, and really looking forward to those. So anything else we're going to talk about? Let me also post real quick in the chat. I don't even know how to post in the chat. Is that so embarrassing? Okay, there it is.
You know,
All right.
like I said, you could just send it to me and I will make sure that Michael's gets it up on the replay, and it will be permanent on there for everyone to get to.
Yes, I definitely want to do that. I'll email it to you. So there you guys have it. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know if you'd ever want to do another herbs installation. There's still more. There's still more we could do.
We can go on and on.
Yeah, I know. It's fun. I like it. Maybe we can
That's
get like
what we
a
love
whole
on
gallery.
when everybody gets the survey, please respond back on that and just comment sections on there. If there's particular herbs that we haven't covered yet out of the 6, let us know what people like out there. We can research it. Maybe we could do an herb class part 3 down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yay,
everybody say more herbs, more herbs.
More herbs. Let's do it. Let us know which ones. I don't think we did cilantro last time, right?
No, we haven't. Nope.
Let's do some real like specialty culinary ones.
We'll make us all
Oh,
hungry
yeah,
out here as we're watching you do this. Everybody's going to go start cooking after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it.
But hopefully everybody will join us for the next class. A lot of people said that they've signed up already. So the next one will be March 15th, which will be the moonflower. And then on the 29th of March will be the tulips. And then following up in May, we will be doing that strawberry class, which I can't wait for that one as well.
A lot of people are saying lavender.
Ooh, chili pepper. That.
Oh, cool. Let's do some chilies. I just bought 4 packs of hot chilies to plant, and I'm so excited. I hope they do well. Maybe we could do a botanical herbs, like we could do like lavender, chamomile, like dill, like the Queen Anne's lace looking dill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. Okay, well, I'm going to save the chat. So I just click save here, right where it says ...
Everybody else online, if you want to save the chat, look at your chat screen all the way to the bottom right side by the MJoy. There's a 3 little dot that says more. Click on that. Top says save chat, and that will save it on your computer right there.
And where does it save it to?
It goes somewhere into, it'll create like a Zoom folder inside your document section that will be in there. So if you did it for every class, it saves it by a date inside of that. So
cool. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.